Hey, what's going on? So let's just talk about the CRM and just the business in general real quick. Um, so I want to set you up for success. The hardest part of wholesaling is getting started. I get that, getting all the systems and the data and have the confidence that it's going to work and putting a little money up front. All good, I'll take care of that. I'll get the dialer, the data, and the system. But here is the thing. You do not want to call sellers off of a Google sheet and hope that you're going to get them to agree to your really low sales price on that first call. Okay, as a seller, it's a bit offensive, right? When you're selling something, there has to be a process for it, a process to getting the right seller to the right price. Okay, so there's a lot of right sellers, wrong price. That's going to be the most common type of really lead you run into. Right seller motivated a wrong price. There's also wrong seller, wrong price, obviously. And there's no such thing as a wrong seller, right price. So you have to be able to look at it as a system or a process. In other words, that first call is a discovery call. Okay, so you're going to be calling off of a dialer. Once you get a lead that says they want to sell the property, you're going to click something. It's going to send them over to Go High Level. This is your CRM. You come into new lead here. And you have to be able to answer all these questions here. Not half the questions, not three-quarters of the questions, all the questions in our contact, seller info, property info, and then basically lead management. This is for creative deals. We'll get into that later. Now, again, I want you to keep in mind why the process is important. Because when I first started, even with wholesaling, I was getting a bunch of leads and people were giving me just Google Sheets and stuff. I was like, man, you can get some deals that way, but here's the better way to do it is discovery call to build rapport, know why they're selling, get the info about the property itself, etc. And then a follow-up call, asking price too on the first call. And the follow-up call is buttoning up that asking price. How did you get to that number? Building some more rapport, really finding out if this is a wholesale deal or not. And then you hang up the phone and they're going to get an email later that says, hey, they're approved for, up to whatever, sales price, highlights of the offer, etc. Professional looking email that sends out, it's part of the system. We'll get into that later about how do you send offers out. Okay. You have to send offers out. That's the whole point of the business. And how do you send offers out when you're not getting people to agree to your price on that first call? Do you just disregard them? Send them through a process though so they feel like there's a process. You got to have a process. That's really the whole part of the business. So my point is, another point is that if it's the lead is not in the CRM, okay, and all the information is completed, it's really not a lead. So we'll go over this here real quick. Contact is the basic information: name, email, phone number, address, etc. Most of this information is going to come in through the dialer. Seller info, now we're going to start talking about when the seller goes, yeah, I'm thinking about selling. It's always good to send them open-ended questions like, well, tell me about what you got going on. Okay, so it's open-ended and they'll start talking about, well, here's what happened. They'll get into the motivation perhaps, someone passed away, the property has been sitting vacant, etc. You can take that route. But you can also take the route if you want something more direct and they say they want to sell the property. You say, okay, well, tell me a little bit about it. Who's in the property right now? Owner occupied, tenant occupied, vacant. Say it's been vacant. If it's occupied, how much you getting for rent? Why do you want to know? Well, it's very important to know if I'm going to buy a property. And that's just in case someone says that. I'm going to cover objection handling and a lot of things in this video. Okay? It might be up to 10 minutes long. If you don't watch the entirety of the video, you're not going to be part of the system, essentially. You got to have the patience to do that. Again, it is very difficult to start a business today. If you want to open any business, or look where you're at right now, what are your options? If you want to open a restaurant or any business, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. To start wholesaling for a few bucks, even if it's $500 a month, is nothing. That's the best business ever, right? So you're gonna have to be able to watch a 10-minute video. You actually have to be able to do a lot more than that. You're gonna have to be able to make calls, and we'll get into that and the mindset and what you got to do essentially to be successful. But this is some basic stuff. Yeah, I want to sell the property. Tell me a little bit about it. Who's in the property? Okay, how much are you getting for rent? What's the lease term? Is it month to month? Is it, maybe it's expiring in May or June in 2026? Is it listed on the market or on the MLS? You have to ask this question because if you talk to 10 people that want to sell, maybe one is qualified for a wholesale deal. Okay. So they say, no, it's not. Well, why not? They have to tell you that they do not want to list a property with a realtor on the MLS. They have to tell you that because why else are they going to take substantially less money for the property unless I don't have time to do that, I had a bad experience, whatever the case is, you got to put it in here. Why do they not want to sell it on the market? Why are they going to be willing to take substantially more? They got to sell you on that. So we're pre-qualifying the seller always when it comes to wholesaling. It's not them pre-qualifying us. Why are you selling the property? Obviously, the most important question. What's your time frame? When do you want to sell the property by? How much do you want for it? Now, again, I don't expect anybody to negotiate a deal with the seller that's wanting more than you're willing to give over the phone. Um, really, you're not going to be able to twist their arm there, okay? The way you're going to do it is like mentioned before. How much do you want for the property? Want $100,000. The only response to asking price, because since you can't twist someone's arm really to a lower price, you're going to say, well, if we cover all the closing costs, there's no commission involved, we take the property as is, we don't ask for any repairs, and we close on your timeline, what's the best you could do? Well, maybe I can go and just be quiet. Maybe I can go down to 90 or 80, and that's it. That's your negotiating. You don't have to do much more negotiating than that. Maybe I'll take 90. All right, good deal. It's a cash deal probably, right? So you're gonna put that in, and then after you get the 90, hey John, if you don't mind me asking, is this the only property you got? How many properties do you have? Two, three. Sweet. Well, now tell me about the property. Okay. So now we're gonna start getting into the property itself. Is it a house, a condo, a duplex? You have to have a copy of the listing up somewhere too. Okay, like on Zillow or Redfin. Tell me about it. And just start typing in all the notes. Tell me about the property. Bum, bum, bum. Open-ended question. Do as much notes as you can. Whatever you miss, fill in here. Or if they give you the information about the roof and the AC, fill this all out. All these have to be filled out. Okay, so if they don't mention it, say, well, appreciate all that info. How old's the roof? How about the AC? How about the furnace? The plumbing? And then you're going to know any major repairs if they say there's foundation issues or the roof needs to be replaced or the AC is not really working. Put them all here. Property condition, pick one. Can they send pictures? This is important because we need updated pictures. If they can't hit yes, if they can't hit no, we'll have to find a way to get pictures. Usually we can get somebody out there to do that. Estimate in dollar amount of how much repairs the property needs. We're going to skip existing loan info. We're going to go to lead management. You have to, what is it, a seller, a buyer, or it's a seller? So put seller. Is it under contract right now with somebody? Put yes or no. If you hit yes, we'll get reminders every 15 or 30 days to check in with them. Okay. Now, next follow-up date. You have to put a next follow-up date because if you do not put a next follow-up date, then the lead is going to get lost. So put a next follow-up date on every lead that you think is worth following up with. The lead source, if it's a cold call, put cold call. And this is required too. You have to fill out the pipeline dispo. Where do you want to put the lead? Okay, so if it's a cold call, and let's say you're talking to them, you have a decent conversation, but hey, can you call me later when my wife comes home? Put it as call today. If let's say you talk to them and they seem motivated, but they're pending something, something needs to happen, like they're in probate and they need a court approval, or um, you have to talk to my husband about it when he gets home, uh, soon or whenever. There's something pending that you haven't quite resolved. They're not quite ready to receive an offer yet. They're on the top of the list. You need a source of that. Put it into needs follow-up. That's basically your weekly review of leads. If you're able to resolve what they need and when they need it, and they just don't need it within 30 days, right? But they need to be pretty motivated. The motivating reason is there. Put as a nurtured. Now, you're going to disqualify a lot of people, and don't feel bad about it. Okay, you're going to make a lot of calls. There's going to be some people that are just not qualified for a wholesale deal. Remember that. There are people that are going to end up listing the property, or the reason isn't good enough, and you don't want to. We don't want to sit there and follow up with them for 6 months when they're, the motivation has to be there, and you'll figure that out early on when you make a lot of calls. And we'll talk more about who's the right type of seller and who's the wrong type of seller and what they sound like on the phone. Call attempts. This is for when you do follow-up calls. So after you dispo them, you may follow up. So you don't have to fill this out on the first when you first call with them. But when you follow up with them, let's say they don't pick up the phone once, twice, 3 times, and then 4 times you try to follow up, they don't pick up the phone. We're going to set up some sort of an automated system. So this is call attempts. You can skip JV partner phone status in case it's a bad number. That's basically it. So you just have to do seller is under contract now. No. Word, put a follow-up date. Where'd you get the lead from? Dispo it. That's it. Okay. So we'll do a quick review here. Wholesaling is a great business. It's been going. It's been around for a very long time. You have to have a system or process in place. The customer has to feel that there's a system and process. You're not going to be able to get people to agree to your really low price on the very first call. You have to build rapport, show them there's a process. So what's the first call about? Building rapport, getting all the vital information, seeing if it's what the motivation is. If they're strongly motivated, you are going to put them into hot, and their time frame is within 30 days. So keep in mind, there's a lot of right sellers, wrong price. That's going to be the majority of the leads. It's the right seller, they're highly motivated, but wrong price. They're not there yet, which is fine. We take that discovery call and then we follow up with them and we button it down. We go, we look at the comps. We say, hey, look, we want to do a deal with you. Help me through the price. How'd you come up with the price? And we'll go over some comps. I'm listening. Well, this one for this much. You need this much. And we'll try to button that up. And after that call is done, we send them a formal email that says, look, you've just been approved for an all cash offer at this price. That's what I mean by process. It's not about twisting their arm over the phone. It's about gathering information. Is this person really a hot lead based on their motivation and time frame alone? Almost forget their price for a second. If they have to sell within 30 days, then they're probably going to be hot, regardless of what they think the price is to a certain extent. If they're motivated, but again, if they still got to work some things out, maybe over 30 or 40, 50 days, put them into nurture, which is a 6-day follow-up. But do not be putting people into hot or nurture if it's like, hey, I'm just trying to retire, and they're just like vague about time frames. There's no, you know what I mean? They're just vague about things, or how much do you want to offer me, or okay, there's a lot of people that are not a good lead, and you'll know what they sound like. What's your offer? You tell me how much you're offering. Okay, that doesn't work. You have to get the asking price as well. Okay, and when they ask you, well, what are you offering me? Say, here's the thing. It's part of the process. I have to get an asking price. I got to put a price on this sheet so I can get it approved for a cash offer. That's just our process, you know. And in addition to that, I don't really walk into Walmart and say, I want that item there for this amount of money. And if they're willing to sell it to me for that, I take it for that. When people list their home on the market, it's the seller that's setting up the asking price. I need to have a price and it's got to be realistic. Okay. We're, we're, um, we're looking for the right leads. Okay. I want you to make this easier, you can be really intent driven. Just call, call, call. Do you want to sell your property? If you do, tell me about it. What do you got going on? Why are you selling it? Let's go dive into the property. You'll take care of them. If there's anything that you don't know, you'll get the answer for. Don't try to be anybody you're not. Don't try to be the head honcho and pretend like you're the guy that's making all the decisions if you're not. Okay? It's better, you'll sound a lot better if you are, just honest with them about what you know about the business. You might have to review this video a few times and remember all these things. You got to also know who the players in the business are. Okay, what's happening? What's the atmosphere? What are sellers experiencing right now? They're experiencing a lot of phone calls from VAs from out of the country and stuff like that. So trust me, they're happy to talk to somebody that's local, that speaks good English, that understands the lingo. And that's great about building rapport and putting your hand around them. So you have to visualize who you are, what you're doing, and how we're providing value. We are providing value because there's a lot of people that cannot go through the listing process. So let's touch up on that real quick. When we talked about the questions and is the property listed on the market? No, and why not? Why don't they? Well, here's the reality. When you list a property on the market, you're going to have to interview a bunch of realtors, or strangers are going to come in your home. They're strangers. They get in your personal space, and then they're going to sign a marketing agreement with you. It's not an offer, it's a marketing agreement that just says, I'm going to market your home now. It's going to take a lot of time to get a bunch of buyers. Buyers are going to walk through your house. Finally, if you get a buyer to give you an offer that you accept, they're going to need a lot of time to close it because they have to get a bank approval. They're going to do serious inspections. They're going to ask for repairs. They're going to have to get an appraiser in the home to appraise the house. The bank's going to have to approve it at the end of the day. And all of that takes time versus us working with them on their timeline whenever they can pick their closing date, essentially, as long as the price is right. We're building rapport with them. We're helping them with other things like, hey, besides the property, what else is important to you? Is there anything else that I should know? Okay? That's the whole point of real estate. There's something more important than the house that they're going through for the good leads, and we might be able to help them with that. Moving, we can maybe help them with moving. If they have a bunch of things, don't worry, you can leave that behind. Sometimes we can just, again, there's something more important than the house, and if we can touch those points and help solve maybe those problems, that's the art of real estate and wholesaling. So, this is not the easiest business. I know what you need. You need some support and you need the systems because it's hard to get started and do all this stuff. So I'm providing the dialer, I'm providing the data, I'm going to give you all the support. I'm going to essentially have the system for you. All you got to do is show up and do your work, do your part. Okay? I'm going to set up a dialer. You're going to call all day. You're going to get a few leads a day, and maybe after 2 weeks, you might get a deal. But guess what? When you're up and running after we're done and you're able to do this basically on your own, you're going to end up hiring the cold calling out and making a lot of money. I'm hoping for you. So that's really kind of the intro here, what I'm proposing. I pay for all the systems. I'll train you. I'm here for the support. I'll help you with the contracts and the offers and the dispo and give you all the sources you need to be successful in wholesaling. And on the first few deals, we'll give you 10 or 20% depending on where you're at. In terms of the dialer and the data, we'll set it up right now for 1 or 2 weeks. We'll figure it out. We'll go as we go. But I'm going to start asking you to pitch in about $100 a person, so I'm not paying for 10 dialers and all this data. So $100 a month to get plugged into a business is nothing. You'll get it right back on your first deal, hopefully within the first 30 to 60 days. And how many businesses are there out there where you can make a return in 30 to 60 days? Not much. It usually takes years to see profit in a business. Okay, so let's be realistic. Any business you want to get into that's a real business, it's going to take a lot of money in for the first year, and then it may take a year or two. Hopefully, if you don't fail, like probably close to 90% of businesses, you start making a small profit, and then you get lucky at some point. You catch a break, and hopefully you get rich quick. You don't really get rich slow. When people say you get rich slow, I haven't met too many people that get rich slow. I made the majority of my money very fast. And a lot of my friends that are very successful, they worked in the same business for 15 years, and then all of a sudden, in 2 or 3 years, they caught some favor. They caught favor of the markets. Rates went down during COVID, and you get to make a lot of money. So you got to just position yourself right now, learn as much as you can. It's not about the money up front. It's about learning, getting the guidance you need, and building a real business, not just calling sellers and expecting them to do something. That's crazy, okay? Send them through the process. Even if the seller has the wrong price, maybe sending them an offer, knowing that they're not going to accept it, but sending them that low offer in writing is the way to get them there eventually. They may not accept it now. We've put them in a bucket. That's basically unaccepted offers. 30 or 60 days, we check in. How you doing? What's changed? Okay. So that's intro. All leads must be in a system. and systematized, or you don't have a business and that lead doesn't exist. Let's gamify this, guys. Just get in there, make as many dollars as you can. Gamify. Just go out there looking for a hot, motivated seller that needs help. Know how to dispo it. Know where they should be. Is this a good reason for selling or not? Put them in hot, put them in warm, and let's rock, dude. All right, I'll be here to support you, and you have access to me pretty easily. Talk to you later.